Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. Good to see you, and today, welcome to another episode of Conquer British English. Today, we've got a new setup. I kind of want to show you, quite excited about our new lesson setup. This is what it looks like. There we go. So we've got the notes there as well. And today we're going to be going through common British idioms. So let's go through the actual definition of what an idiom actually is. So an idiom is a common word or phrase which is culturally understood. So it's essentially the meaning is from what is said differs from what is actually meant. So it's a phrase or word which is commonly understood culturally. All right, so bearing that in mind, British people do use a lot of idioms. So I kind of wanted to go through some in this online lesson with you guys. Now, hopefully all is working in terms of the notes that we've got here. I've got this sort of pad that I'm writing with, so hopefully all will work smoothly today. So the first phrase that I have is actions speak louder than words. So, actions speak louder than words. I want you to have a think, just for a brief moment, what that means, and also how you would pronounce this this idiom here. So actions speak louder than words. Actions speak louder than words. So what this one basically means is the actual action of doing something is better than saying that you will do it. Imagine if someone was saying that, oh, I'd love to take you somewhere, and they kept promising that, oh yeah, you're like the most important person in the world. Imagine you're in sort of like a relationship setting. If that person then doesn't follow through with their sort of words and doesn't actually put it into action, this is where the idiom would be used. Action speaks louder than words. Here's another example. The action of, let's say, for example, with English learning. So you're always saying to your friends, yes, I want to improve my English. I'm doing lots of practice. I want to do lots of practice. Those are words. The actual action is going out and doing exercising, watching YouTube videos, doing the exercise practice, buying the books, right? So if you were just sort of saying that you're going to practice and you weren't actually putting it into action, this is where the idiom would make sense. Actions speak louder than words. So it's a really famous way, it's a really famous saying for saying that you should really put things into action rather than saying that you're going to put it into action. All right, so that's the first one that I've got. I'm going to write the second one on the screen, and I'd like you to have a think about how you would pronounce this one. So this one is pronounced an arm and a leg. An arm and a leg. So the definition of an idiom is that the meaning is different from what it actually says, right? So Brits are really known for this, and the meaning that what is said differs from what it is actually meant. So what is said is that there's an arm and a leg, but it doesn't actually mean an actual arm and an actual leg. So when do you think we use this situation? Well, this basically means when something costs more than you thought it was going to be. So something's really expensive. You could say that you paid an arm and a leg for it. So it's all about the price of things. So you could say, here's an example sentence. For example, this jacket cost me an arm and a leg. And it basically means this jacket was very, very expensive. All right, so that's idiom one was actions speak louder than words. And then idiom number two is an arm and a leg. Okay, let's go through a third one. Ooh, I love this one. So this one, let's see how you would pronounce it. I personally use this one quite a lot. And I can even replace yours with his, for example, or her, right? So this one is pronounced, the ball is in your court. The ball is in your court. So what it means, so the literal meaning, right, is the fact that, let's change the color here. So the literal meaning is that if, say for example, you're playing a tennis game, if you've, hit the ball, the tennis ball with your racket, that means the ball is going to be on their side of the tennis court, right? So this is a metaphor for how when you're making decisions, if you've already made a decision and you're waiting on someone else to make a decision, the ball is now in their court. They have to action the thing that you're talking about. So, say for example, you're at work and you've got an important meeting and there's lots of different things that you need to get done before the end of the day. If you're waiting on someone and you've pretty much done everything that you can, you could say to your colleague, look, the ball is in his court. The ball is now in his court. Like if he wants to finish the work off, he can, but it's no longer your responsibility. So that's kind of like a situation of where you would use it in a place of work. The ball's in his court. If he wants to finish the project, he can. The next move is essentially determined by your colleague, the person who's still yet to do the work. Say for example, you've just had an argument with a friend. So argument. If you've just had an argument with a friend and you have texted the friend an apology, the ball is now in their court to respond to you. The ball's now in their court. Like they can respond if they want. And say, for example, you guys want to go for a dinner, then say if you still haven't heard from this friend and you don't actually know if they want to go for this dinner, there's nothing more you can do. Of course, you can apologize and send another text, but the ball is now in their court. So it's up to them to make that next move. So that's the third idiom. The ball is in your court. I'm just going to pause there just for a second. Just going to catch up on the live chat and just going to make sure the settings are all okay for the video. Ooh, this one's quite nice. Let's write it down. So the next one, how would you pronounce this? So, barking up the wrong tree. Barking up the wrong tree. What it means by barking up the wrong tree is, say, for example, you're trying to find a solution or you're trying to find something. Someone could tell you that you're barking up the wrong tree, as if to say that you're accusing the wrong person of doing something. Where you're physically looking is the wrong place that you're looking. So you've got a misguided line of thought. So if you're misguided, that means you are barking up the wrong tree. You're looking in the wrong place. So guys, let's just review the idioms that we've learned about today. So we have actions speak louder than words, an arm and a leg. This is when something's expensive. Number 3 was the ball is in your court. The ball is in your court. And number 4 is barking up the wrong tree. Let's just explain barking up the wrong tree for a second. So, say for example, there's a dog and the dog is trying to find its prey or it's trying to chase something. If it's going woof, 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 right, at the wrong tree, basically the dog is in the wrong place, right? So in a similar way, if you are trying to find a solution and you're in the wrong place, then you could be barking up the wrong tree. So the analogy is that you are the dog who is barking and you're in the wrong place. So it's quite a funny one there. All right. So we've got time for a few more. I've got a little list here that I've made. So let's just have a little think about which one I'll do next. So number 4 was barking up the wrong tree. Oh yeah, a lot of people do say this one. We're going to do this one for number 5. Number 5 is this. So how would you pronounce this one? So this one is speak of the devil. Speak of the devil. Okay, so say for example you're talking about someone, you're in the living room and you're talking about a friend. I don't know, you might be gossiping about them, or you might not necessarily be gossiping. You might just, you might even just sort of be mentioning them in a conversation, maybe even about something positive. It doesn't have to be anything negative. You could just be talking about the person. When you say speak of the devil, if they walk into the room, the person that you're talking about then walks into the room, you could look at your friend and say like, oh, speak of the devil, as in the person that you've just spoken about has just entered the room, as if they knew that you were speaking about them, right? So there's something kind of uncanny about that. There's something kind of, interestingly spooky about the fact that you were just speaking of that person and here they are. I guess living room would be less surprising because if they were in their house, it would be less surprising. But say, for example, I don't know, you were at a train station with your friend and you just happened to be speaking about another friend. If that friend then suddenly almost walks by, you could say, wow, speak of the devil. Look who it is. Oh, it's George, or it's Matthew, right? So if that friend happens to just suddenly appear, which I bet has happened to you in the past, where you've spoken about someone with someone else, and then that other person has turned up mid conversation, right? Or you've bumped into someone, that would be a situation where you would speak of the devil. So the way that you would say it is you would act surprised and you would say, "Ah, speak of the devil, look who's here." Speak of the devil. So you would just say speak of the devil as if to say, wow, that was a coincidence. All right. I think we've got time for one more. Just bear with me 1 second. Okay, let's do one more to finish off our online lesson today. All right, number 6. Ooh, this one's a good one. So it's when you see eye to eye. See eye to eye. See eye to eye. So what do you think this one means? Okay, well, when you see eye to eye, essentially what this means is it's when two people agree on something. So when there's an agreement, when two people agree, this means that you see eye to eye with them. If you have the same views as someone, it means you see eye to eye. However, if you don't agree with someone's views, you could say, oh, I don't think we see eye to eye. So the phrase that you would use is we see eye to eye, or we don't see eye to eye. Sorry, we don't see eye to eye. You could use this at work, for example. So in a work setting, you could say, oh, unfortunately, my colleague and I, we just don't see eye to eye. Which means that you might be working on a project, but you believe that you should be working on it in two different ways. We could even use it in a family setting where if you're disagreeing with ignore my handwriting over there. Say, for example, you have a sibling and you're trying to kind of explain to someone else what the problem is. You could say, look, my brother and I, we don't see eye to eye on this situation. It could be about a particular situation, or it could be a long-term thing, right? So it could be about a short-term situation. Maybe you might see eye to eye soon or another time, but maybe it's long-term. Maybe you guys have fallen out and you're not friends anymore, or you don't have a relationship anymore because you've never seen eye to eye. So you could say, we have never seen eye to eye. So that could be a phrase that you use there for see eye to eye. Have a think about how you would use the other idioms that we've learned in our lesson today. I think before we finish off our live stream, maybe we should have a little chat about how we would use the ballers in your courts. So just spend a minute having a think about how you would use this. Let me write down an example sentence for you. So James was waiting. James is waiting for a text from Sandra. Semicolon. The ball was now in her court. Or not is, because we're writing in past tense, so the ball was now in her court. Okay. So James was waiting for a text from Sandra. The ball was now in her court. So because Sandra was now the person to make the next move, it's not James's responsibility, it's now Sandra's responsibility. Therefore, the ball was now in her court. If you're wondering how I've used that semicolon there, and you would like another lesson, please let me know in the comments below. Okay, so we've gone through 6 idioms. It's quickly how time flies. I think, how long have we been streaming for? Oh, it says it's almost been half an hour. Okay, all right. So I've really enjoyed that live stream. Like I said in the past, I do want to keep this as a weekly thing for you guys. So we are streaming every Wednesday at 2:30 London time. So the next class will be, let me just grab my calendar. Technically, I can do some quick maths. 15 plus 7, 22. So on the 22nd of November and also on the 29th of November. These lessons have already been scheduled, so you can take a look at what we are planning for the next upcoming month. And I will look forward to seeing you guys in the next live stream. Come prepared with your questions. Please sign up to the newsletter. You will have all access to my PDFs on there as well. Check out the website if you want to access any more free resources. Okay, I think that's pretty much everything I wanted to cover in this lesson. If there's any final questions, feel free to pop them in the chat. And until next time, guys, I will see you soon.